Hello, hello, hello. I hope you're doing okay. Whether this finds you in the morning, in the afternoon, or the evening, wherever you are, I hope you are doing okay, holding on. Okay, so this has been kind of a crazy week. In addition to the pandemic and cases in my area of COVID-19 are going up, we're actually declared on lockdown. So in the midst of all this, we've been looking for a house, doing a lot of virtual tours, and actually did one in person. Unfortunately, that house had signs of mold. One of those lovely leftovers of Hurricane Harvey. It's hard to find a house in Harris County, and you have to check whether it's been flooded. It's one of the big sells on houses, never flooded. I wouldn't buy anything unless I had a good inspector check for all of it, just a tip. So, in addition to that, just my little one, we've started the online school. So she's special needs. She's ADHD, and she inherited it, honestly. I have it as well, so does my oldest. But she also has dyslexia. And she can read. It's amazing. If you can intervene early for people that have dyslexia, somehow with the way that they look at things, they can code it properly in their brain. So I was actually really pleased and pretty amazed at what she can do now. So honors to her dyslexia teacher. But it's just, trying to figure that all out, because, I know the school districts weren't prepared for this. And I don't think anybody was prepared for this other than the preppers and those that dealt with fear and started hoarding everything. It's annoying. It really is. I just want paper towels and tonic water. I know. I mean, when people have fear, that's one of the ways that they're trying to control the situation, facing the unknown. Going and grabbing everything. Though I really hope that if businesses or individuals that may have hoarded medical supplies, PPE, personal protective equipment, that there aren't people holding on to that and not, or trying to sell it for higher prices. It's kind of like trying to find a house in my area before the investors buy them. It's annoying, it really is. So, oh goodness, yesterday and the day before. So, I live in townhomes currently, a 2-story townhouse. That's one of the reasons we're trying to find a 1-story house. As my disease progresses, I won't be able to go upstairs to go to the bed without getting a chairlift, and those are, so, we had, they're doing updates, so the electrical boxes are being changed, and they were turning the power on and off. I woke up early and the power was off. I guess everything just got quiet, and went back to sleep, woke up again, and then got a call from somebody, and then had a knock on the door, and it was an electrician. So went and took everything that was hung up in the laundry room, and so he could get to the box. So okay, my little one was still asleep, so try to get little things that she could eat breakfast, that I didn't have to go in the kitchen, which is connected to the laundry room, so I didn't have to disturb him or stay away. I mean, being with ALS and my other health conditions, I'm high risk. So went ahead, and that was about an hour and a half without power. So we had received that morning the stuff from my daughter's school for the online school. And I have a Mac, so, got it all set up after they left. I guess I hadn't turned my Mac off, or an update hadn't gone through, so it was a little bit longer to get it to start. Got into all the sites, got it figured out. Just as she's about to start, the electricity went off again. Got it back up, and it went off again. So waited until that evening to do the daily classes. Second grade night school. So did that. Apparently that burned out my home phone. It was giving up on its last gasps, and I had ordered a new cell phone. So I think the microphone on that one was going bad. So got a knock on the door the next morning, and it was my new phone. Yay! In addition to trying to book to see a house, watching the news, and my county was declared on lockdown, stay at home. So that kind of, there goes looking for houses. I do have a brave little realtor. So go through and, updated my phone, transferred phone to phone, deactivated my iPhone, turned off Find My Phone. Now this is a tip, and I forgot it last time I did it. If you have an iPhone and you have to Find My Phone in your iCloud, and if you have a Mac, make sure you turn that off on your Mac too, because even if you turned it off on your phone, that information is saved. And Verizon is having some issue right now. I just got turned on. So for my old phone style, turn it, go ahead and start it. It's like, oh my Lord. I don't know what's happening with them. So you try to call through them, and it wouldn't go through. All lines were busy. Turned me out to, collect call or call using an external operator. All lines busy. Very annoying. So, thought, let me order it from Target. Maybe I can do a pickup. So, one of those strange things, you never know that you might need a home phone. This world has gotten so much that we use things with smartphones, tablets, but invariably you need an old phone. So pick that up. I was concerned, I shouldn't be driving anyways, but, with the COVID-19, it's kind of like, I figured, 25 plus years, I never got tuberculosis, and that's airborne too. Just follow the, social distancing, staying 6 feet away from everybody. So I got it, it's kind of one of those things. It was pretty good. Target was, what they're doing is good for their people. And my area, Target, on I think one day a week, will allow from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. people that are 16 above or have special needs, high risk, they'll allow them in. Most of the places around that do that only allow seniors. So unfortunately, ALS has maybe Medicare and on Social Security. So you think I could do it? I don't know. I mean, but despite the hoarding, I think we have enough food, and I don't think there's any real problem with distribution. It's people panicking and trying to deal with their fears of the unknown, and hoarding. It's just annoying. Just hopefully it stops soon. I don't know. I mean, nutrition is important for people with ALS, and if you are somebody that is going through the transition or has lost their job and their health insurance, know that there are others out there, that can help. You can reach family members or your local charitable, any churches or any counties, any food banks. There is help out there. Now, if you are a part of the ALS Association, or if you have, you can look them up online. They're actually doing some advocacy now. There's a bill that's been introduced by 2 senators from both the Republican and the Democratic parties, trying to make sure that anybody that has ALS in this COVID-19 time, that they, if they become unemployed, that they can bump the 5-month waiting period for the compassionate allowance program. So, and reaching out, it might be a good idea to reach out and start being an advocate for yourself. And they have a link where you can write your senators. They need to price fix, BiPAPs and ventilators for ALS patients. Now we know that right now ventilators are, there's the concerns that we may run out of them. They're coming, companies are making them. I mean, there's something good about American ingenuity. But because Medicare allows bidding, those costs of those BiPAPs and those ventilators could affect us with ALS and other chronic diseases that need them. So it's trying to ensure that we will have access to decent prices and not be bartered up. ALS is an expensive disease. I mean, Lord, it takes enough to try to get, paying for, if you had a job, FMLA paperwork, and if you have, the different insurances, private disability insurances, and with Social Security, those cost something. And anytime that you are under private short-term disability or long-term disability, that is a reduction. Living on Social Security is a reduction. I'm blessed that I was a paranoid person and got a lot of insurances, but it's still, living off $1,000 a month for 5 months, it's hard. We made it through, thank goodness for my husband and my family, but yikes. So just know if you're having a hard time now, there is help out there. It's hard to, if you're a proud person, to ask for help, but you can get through it. Thankfully, we didn't have to do too much. So my Medicare started this March 1st. So yay, I have Medicare. And the next week I got a letter, well, maybe a week and a half. I got a letter on the front date of the 11th that Medicare had found out about some litigation I have from an accident that happened in 2018. And if Medicare paid for any of this, once I get the settlement, that Medicare would have to be paid back, the Medicare Recovery Fund. Well, I'm glad that they're looking at that, but, being rear-ended and getting a concussion and whiplash didn't cause my ALS. I have the genetic form of ALS. I got a pretty severe concussion, and albeit I actually got whiplash. I always thought that was one of those little things that you hear about people, oh, my neck, let me sue. No, there's actually something. So it took me a little while to go to physical therapy to get my balance back, and, movement in my neck. So that all settled, a couple months after that. And then I had nearly a year after that before I developed the onset of ALS and was finally diagnosed with ALS. My accident, I had to take time out to do the physical therapy, and that was ongoing, so I missed some work hours, but it didn't actually stop me from working. So, tough bird. Just, you think about all that, it's like, so I actually got the letter, and it kind of horrified me. I looked things up, and apparently Medicare has a thing out if you are injured and you're on Social Security and you get a settlement, it can stop your Social Security for the amount of the settlement could make you ineligible for Social Security. Now, they do have the rule that if you have more than $200,000 in a bank account, you are ineligible for Social Security. So, but it doesn't affect you if you have Social Security disability. But they want, if they paid for anything, they're going to want to be reimbursed for those costs. So since mine is not connected, and I stopped treatment for that a year plus before I've even become on Medicare, I called and got a rather angsty or grouchy Medicare lady, and she was like, I want to know your claim numbers for both claim numbers, the names of the attorneys and all that. And it's like, oh my Lord, I have been dealing with disability and insurances and, all these other things going on. I can't tell you what those case numbers are. I have a lawyer for that. So, it was frightening. It's like, okay, what information do I need to do? Because I don't want to do anything wrong. It's like, I may be a rebel and stuff like that, but I don't want to break any laws or have any problems. And on top of that, this lady, it's like, well, so when did you start working? When did you stop? When did your Medicare start? It's like, oh my Lord, lady, I already got audited. My Social Security disability under the compassionate program was audited in December. And they sent it back to my local Social Security office. I think it was New Year's Eve. So I was given the advice by the person I called, because I didn't get a letter. I was called in January waiting for a letter. And they told me I should go in to check. So that's something to know. If you've been waiting for a Social Security disability, you haven't gotten a letter, it's been a couple months, you may want to go into the local office. Now, under this pandemic, I would recommend waiting for that, because, if you don't have a letter, you don't have the reason. So you wait to get an appointment to wait. And they're generally large rooms with a lot of seats, and people will have to sit and wait. Now, I don't know if those offices are closed in areas that are affected by COVID-19 right now. But so we waited. I think it took like 3-4 hours and got everything taken care of. So, I transitioned off of being on short-term disability, and my Medicare started this month. Of course, now I'm going to have to tell everybody, please document that this did not have anything to do with an accident I had back in 2019. And I was told by another person, before you sign any papers from lawyers, call us. It's like, they don't have any rights to that. It didn't have anything to do with my ALS. It's just one of those little things, it's kind of like annoyances. I have to think of somebody with ALS. I have, I had plans next month to go to New Mexico, which, we're on lockdown and probably not going to do that. This summer to go see my family in the Pacific Northwest. My closest aunt and uncle actually live in the area that was hardest hit, case 0 of COVID-19 in this country. But, probably if it does lay off in August, maybe. Though the trip to Europe is probably off for a while. I just hope that I'm able to actually, we're actually going to go on a cruise in Europe. Yeah, can you just imagine? So, that's one of those annoyances now. I know that I have, looking online and filling out the stuff for my neurology appointment next month. I was diagnosed with, in addition, obstructive sleep apnea. I'm trying to get a BiPAP or a AVAP right now. Somebody may need it more. I just hope it's really disinfected before I get it. My pulmonologist, the lung doctors that are going to be in high demand for COVID-19 patients, I just got a text message. I've asked for a telemedicine visit, but apparently they want me in office. I don't even know the results. I don't know what my MIP or my FVC numbers are. I don't know the numbers. I want to know my numbers. It's, pertinent to my care. I had been locked out because of the company I worked for had a health system. So I was locked in that health system, which does not have an ALS clinic connected. So having to go through all these doctors, going to all these, visits and that, not having a case manager or social worker, I would recommend going to a ALS clinic. So I'm going to talk to my neurologist about getting into one of the clinics. I know he is at one of the clinics, and the ALS Association for my area is at one particular clinic. So I have to get all my information transferred to them. But they do have some of the studies going on. So, I know there's not going to be a study in my lifetime that will cure me. And, it's just something I know. You know, I just don't want to get COVID-19, and though it hurts my heart, you know, I wish I was out there helping people. You know, it's one of those things, you know. So, you know, just trying to keep my little one entertained, keep her on a schedule. You know, gonna do some art projects. You know, it's like I just wish I had less limitation on my hands. You know, I can still do some things. It's just, you know, trying to get her to have as much of a fun experience with this. You know, understanding what's going on and how to be clean and how to wash her hands. It's really cute listening to her sing the ABCs as she washes her hands. But try to keep, you know, things entertained. Trying to keep the holidays entertained. You know, we're gonna do some Easter decorations. Hopefully this lockdown doesn't last past Easter, but it might. You know, just try to keep things as normal as possible. It's hard for them not to be in school. I'm thankful that she can do school online. I'm thankful that all the stuff is now coming back online, so all the apps work. You know, it's kind of funny doing the little things they learn in math and science, and you know, the fact that she's reading really well. You know, kudos to her dyslexia teacher. Just trying to get things done, you know, trying to keep things positive. You know, we're gonna play some board games, and got one that's called Horrified. You know, I figured, you know, looking at the of Dracula or Frankenstein or the Swamp Thing, you know, might be a little more fun playing against them versus playing Pandemic or something like that. And Candyland, you know, it can get old. You know, I know a lot of people are going through some hard times right now. My oldest is 27, and she's in the restaurant industry, so she's been stressed out. Thankfully, she has a degree, so she just has to get a certificate. And, you know, we've been telling her, you know, use your degree, you know, do that, but I have to get the certificate. Well, now she has the time to study for it. So hopefully that is a positive for her. And, you know, just, we're all going through a different time. You know, people haven't dealt with this since probably 1918. So my little one read the Velveteen Rabbit, and, you know, just her ideas of it. But it's kind of interesting with the old disabled veterans, and it's like, well, that was written in 1922. Are they talking about those that fought in the First World War or the Civil War? You know, it's just kind of think about that, you know. I don't know. You know, we're gonna all be okay. You know, some people will go, some people will get sick. Most of us will be okay. You know, just, you know, advocate for yourself. You know, please don't hoard things. You know, figure out routes to get food, and don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, if you need someone to go to the grocery store for you, if you're not able to, you know, do certain things. You know, it's hard, and most of us with ALS are pretty proud, take care of people. You know, if you need help, there is help out there. It's not immediate, it takes time, but, you know, if anything ALS will teach you is never give up. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and be thinking about you. If anything more interesting happens, I will let you know. And, you know, if you have any questions, you know, leave them down below. So don't forget to subscribe. You know, I'll have some more funny stories coming up. All right, you guys take care. Bye.